POV. You betrayed the cartel. Now it's your turn. You signed a cooperation agreement on a Tuesday at 10:43 a.m. in a federal building in Tucson, Arizona. And by Tuesday at 11:15, you are sitting in a processing room with a bottle of water you haven't opened and the specific understanding that the 32 minutes between the signing and the sitting are the 32 minutes that divide your entire life into two irreconcilable halves. Before, after. The before is 11 years inside the Sinaloa cartel's financial operations. Not the front line, not the violence, the money. The movement of revenue from the specific places it exists. Tucson, Phoenix, Chicago, Los Angeles. The mid-level distribution networks that convert product into cash and cash into the problem that requires men like you to solve it. You are 44 years old and you have a degree in finance from a university in Culiacan, and you spent the first 3 years of your career at a legitimate accounting firm before the referral came. And the referral was from someone you trusted, and the number on the referral was a number that the legitimate accounting firm was not going to produce in the next 15 years, and you made the decision that the number required. 11 years. A house in Hermosillo. 2 children in private school. A wife who teaches at the university and who has been teaching at the university for 8 years, and who understands the shape of your professional life in the specific incomplete way that she has decided is the understanding she can live with. She knows enough. She has decided that enough is sufficient. The decision has been mutual and unspoken for 8 years. The cooperation agreement changes what she knows whether or not you tell her. You tell the federal prosecutor everything you know for 6 days. The 6 days are in a conference room at a federal facility, whose location you were not told before you arrived, and whose location you will not be told when you leave. The prosecutor is a woman named Chen, who has been doing this work for 12 years and who receives your information with the specific professional calm of someone who is building a structure and who understands that each piece of information is a structural element, and whose interest in the element is architectural rather than personal. She does not judge you, she does not thank you, she assembles. You tell her about the financial architecture, the shell companies in Delaware and Nevada and the Cayman Islands, the correspondent banking relationships, the trade-based laundering through the agricultural import network in Sonora, the cryptocurrency mixing operation you helped design in 2021, the specific names and account numbers and transaction sequences that constitute the evidentiary foundation for 12 separate ongoing federal investigations across 4 districts. You tell her about the people, the plaza bosses whose financial flows run through the architecture you managed, the money brokers whose names are in no database because they operate exclusively through personal relationships and mobile payment systems, and the specific informal trust networks of men who have been doing this since before digital transaction records existed. The American distributors in Chicago and Phoenix, who are not Mexican, and whose connection to the Sinaloa network is the most valuable intelligence the Chicago DEA office has been trying to develop for 4 years. You tell her everything because everything is the agreement. Partial cooperation produces partial protection, and partial protection in your current situation is the specific mathematical category of insufficient that produces the outcome you are trying to avoid. Everything is the only number that works. The 6 days produce 112 pages of signed testimony. 112 pages. 11 years compressed into 112 pages with your signature at the bottom of each one. The signature is the document. The document is the instrument. The instrument is what the federal system will use to prosecute the cases it is building, and what the cartel will use when it finds it to understand the full scope of what you gave. They will find it. This is not paranoia. This is the operational reality of an organization whose intelligence infrastructure penetrates the American federal system at multiple levels. Drug trafficking organizations have purchased information to vet their members, to track investigative activity, and to identify cooperating individuals. Northeastern Global News, you know this because you have been inside the organization for 11 years, and you have watched the information come back from the American side through the channels that the organization maintains inside the American system. You have watched cooperating witnesses be identities were officially sealed. You have watched the consequences of the identification. You watched Edgar Bayardo get killed at a Starbucks in Mexico City. He was riddled with bullets by 2 hitmen dressed in suits as he sipped coffee. His information had led to the indictment of Mexico's federal police chief and other top officials for alleged cartel corruption. Al Jazeera, you read about it? You filed it in the professional category of things that happen to people in the cooperation business and that constitute the actuarial data on the cooperation profession's occupational hazards. You are now inside the actuarial data. The processing room in Tucson has a window that looks out onto a parking structure. The parking structure contains ordinary cars belonging to ordinary federal employees going about their ordinary federal workday. You watch a woman in a blue coat walk to her car and get in and drive away. And you think about what ordinary looks like from the inside of ordinary. And you think about whether ordinary is something that exists in your future in any form. The prosecutor told you the witness protection framework, new identity, relocation, a stipend. The framework is real in the sense that it exists and is offered and has been used. The framework is also what it is in the specific Mexican context. Mexico's witness protection program may as well be called witness detection, since violent drug traffickers seem to have little problem locating the informants the government is supposed to be shielding. Al Jazeera, this is the Mexican program. You are inside the American program. The American program is more robust. The American program also operates in a country whose federal institutions contain the same penetration vulnerabilities that the Mexican institutions contain, at a lower density, with better detection, and the lower density and better detection produce better outcomes for cooperating witnesses, but not perfect outcomes. Perfect outcomes are not available in your situation. What is available is better odds. The odds calculation is what produced the decision, not virtue, not justice, not the specific moral reckoning of a man who has been moving drug money through shell companies for 11 years and who has decided the reckoning has arrived. The odds. The federal investigation that was building around your specific financial architecture had reached the stage where the prosecutor's office was preparing charges, and the charges were going to arrive regardless of whether you arrived first. Arriving first produces the cooperation agreement. The cooperation agreement produces the sentence reduction. The sentence reduction produces the specific arithmetic of a man who is 44 years old and who calculates what 44 plus the number of years in the indictment produces in terms of the age at which he exits the federal system, and whether the exit age is one at which anything is still possible. You arrived first. The arithmetic produced the cooperation. The cooperation produced the 112 pages. The 112 pages are now in the federal system, and the federal system has the specific leakage properties of a system that the organization you just betrayed has been managing for decades. The clock starts at 11:15 a.m. on Tuesday, when you sit in the processing room with the unopened water bottle. You think about your children. Your daughter is 14, your son is 11. They are in school in Hermosillo right now, which is a city in Sonora where the Sinaloa cartel's operational presence is as ambient and permanent as the weather. They are in school in a city where the organization you signed against this morning has eyes on every block and institutional relationships inside every school administration, and a record of using family members as instruments of pressure or instruments of punishment, depending on which instrument is required. Your wife does not know where you are. She knows you traveled to the United States on business. She has known this story for 11 years and has received it with the specific careful acceptance of a woman who has decided that the story is the story she can live with. The story is now over. The story that replaces it is one she does not yet know she is inside. You call her at 2 p.m. from a phone provided by the marshals. The call is monitored. You know it is monitored. You say what you can say inside a monitored call to a woman who does not know the full dimensions of her situation and who is going to receive an amount of information over the next 48 hours that will reorganize everything she thought she understood about the last 11 years. She answers on the second ring. She says your name the way she has been saying your name for 15 years, with the specific warmth of familiarity and the specific slight edge of a woman who has been managing the anxiety of your absence for years, and who has developed the specific tone that contains both things simultaneously. You say, I need you to take the children to your sister's tonight. Not tomorrow. Tonight, she is quiet for a moment. She says, what happened? You say, I'll explain everything. Tonight, go to your sister's. Take only what you need for a week. Tell the children it's a surprise trip. She says, "You're scaring me." You say, "I know. Go tonight." She says, "Okay." She goes. You know she goes because she has been managing the anxiety of your absence for years, and she has a plan the same way all people who live with ambient risk develop plans. Not consciously. Not